Welcome to the Life in Flow podcast.
The three of us, Yulia, Polina, and Irina, are exploring what life in flow and flow in life is.
Join us as we experiment, test our diverse hypotheses, and have fun in the process.
Will we find an answer?
This isn't just an intellectual discussion. We're co-creating a shared field beyond words. We're attuning to what emerges moment by moment so that the conversation itself becomes a group flow experience.
And we invite you to become an active participant in this experiment. There will be pauses and moments of silence. We leave them on purpose because this is where magic happens.
Go beyond the intellectual information. Listen with your whole body and notice how your somatic experience shifts in the process. Share with us what reveals itself in the space where mind, body, and energy flow together.
Welcome everyone back to the Life in Flow podcast. I'm Polina, I'm leading us today. And I'm here with Yulia and Irina. And today we are exploring the question of what makes a relationship meaningful. As always, we're going to first start with a little word association game. I'm going to say a word, and then we're going to go in a circle, or, however the energy is available, describing your sensory experience around that word. So there's no rules. It could be crazy. It could be wild. It could be whatever it is. Just whatever that word presents in you and in the field in this moment in time. And the word is matter, in terms of what matters.
I feel weight, but in the sense, not in the sense of heaviness, but in the sense like of centering, something that grounds you.
Mm-hmm.
And solid.
Mm-hmm.
My association was actually with food, something that makes you, I don't want to say full, I guess not hungry, or something that satisfies you into a calm, I guess, balanced and happy, maybe, state, content.
Love it. For me, it evokes a sense of anchoring. Like, it's kind of also, there's a weight to it, like you were describing, but it's like an anchoring. And yeah, that's mine right now. Let's go in another round.
I felt warmth and like the sense of incoming nurturing when Yulia was talking about food.
Yeah, for me, it was like sustenance. I'm sorry, I'm breaking our cycle, but sustenance. That also came up just now. Like nourishment.
Okay. Maybe what somehow an image that I'm getting now is also this satisfaction that comes from different sensory channels. It's like I'm seeing in front of me a field of flowers, maybe chamomile. And it's very satisfying to the eyes, to my nose, to the touch. Um, uh, what else? Like to hearing, probably as well, in some sense. And I have no clue what it has to do with matter, but somehow this is an image that I got.
Mm.
I have two rather opposite sensations, so they might be felt or considered as opposite. One is expansion, just like going beyond all our 53 senses, or expanding them, expanding our field of sensing everything. And like centering at the same time. It's just like there is a line that goes through me. It's not necessarily about anchoring or grounding, but just like giving the access to all this expansion in the center.
Mm. And for me, what comes up is it registers. It registers in me, it registers in the field, and so it matters.
Ira, because you mentioned, what is it? What did you call it?
Axis?
Access. Yeah.
Center?
Yeah. But somehow for me, maybe because we talked about it before, it's somehow the emptiness came up. And then in the middle of this emptiness on this axis, there is something, there is matter, there is something that occupies this emptiness.
Mm. I love it. We're going out into the ethers now, it feels like. Mm.
I'm when Palina said what it registers, it registered with me because before I tried to really to catch what would be the words to describe the sensation of inner knowing. So like when something matters, I know it in myself. I don't know how to describe it senses wise. It has something to do with calm and security and center, but also like openness towards this information that registers.
Ooh, for me, what's coming through based on your description is you're taking me into meaning, actually. And also knowing, like a knowing sensation. Like knowing with your whole kind of system, not with your brain.
Yeah. And somehow I was thinking about sensing, knowing. The first thing that came to mind is warmth in the stomach. Then my brain said, no, but you know, primarily with your heart. And then something after that, when I dismissed both, because I don't want to go into debate right now, what came up is it's really cool to know with goosebumps and rising hair.
Yeah. Ooh, I just got a bunch of goosebumps. Ooh. Hmm.
how do we describe being in senses?
Awareness is what's coming up for me. It's the awareness of the physical sensation, awareness of whatever else is registering around this with whatever other parts.
Acceptance comes to me, and it comes with this gesture. It's actually like I need to raise my hands so you would see it, but it's they're a little bit low in my sensation of the body. But yeah, so like it comes not with the word but with the gesture. Open arms.
To me, that gesture was about an invitation also somehow, and maybe a little bit about surrender. And now I'm not thinking about being anymore, but just, I guess, playing with what you shared, you know.
Love it. Let's hang on to whatever the energy has been generated with this exercise and shift gears into some questions that I prepared. And I myself have not answered these questions yet, so it will be real and in the moment as it emerges. But before I start with the questions, I wanted to ground us in what meaning, how it's defined in the larger world. I was curious because when I was sort of preparing for leading today, I wasn't super preparing, but I actually had a moment. I was like, what is meaning? What does it mean? Like when you have to zero in on a word, right? Then it's sometimes you actually lose the meaning of it. It's a weird phenomenon that happens to me. So I just looked it up. I'm bringing this in the space not because this is the definition we're going to be working with, but just so that it's also in the field in terms of, I guess, how humanity has defined it so far, or at least in the English language. Okay, so Merriam-Webster's definition is the thing one intends to convey, especially by language. Purport. Something meant or intended. Aim. The logical connotation or significance of a word, symbol, or event. The underlying significance or purpose, especially of life experience or relationships. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as what is meant by a word, text, concept, or action, the thing or idea that a sign or symbol stands for. I had to engage with that one. A sense of purpose or value in life or relationships. So in both, meaning is tied to intention, significance of something, or purpose. Which when I sat there and digested this a little bit, I was like, oh, it's so open to interpretation. Like literally in the definition, there, I was engaging with the fact that this could be so different for so many different people and in different situations and even in contexts. So I just wanted to share that so that it's in the field. As I ask our first question, when you use the word meaningful in the context of a relationship, what does that mean to you right now in this season of your life?
I must confess.
Yes.
Go ahead. Now, like our flows, currents came together and clashed into each other. I must confess that I did think about the question before our recording. And what I realized that for me, I give to the relationship the value and the significance of meaningful, playing with your words, when there is a certain resonance or connection at any level, like the resonance and connection would be the same here between me and the other person. And it may last just like several moments, like in the moment. It may present itself every time when there is a certain interaction with the person, or it may emerge at a certain moment in the relationship, and then it may be gone. And this kind of resonance may be at the level, like we like the same things and we think the same thoughts. Or it may be really at the level, like the resonance of shared values. Like shared values and the shared worldviews. And now I'm thinking that might not always be the case, but I will shut up for the moment because this is what I was thinking beforehand. Now let's see how it will evolve.
So can I just ask a clarifying question? I want to make sure I get it.
Sure.
So the way you define meaning in a relationship and the way you phrased it is that I assign value or significance to a relationship, right? Is when there is a certain resonance or connection, and it could be at different various levels. And one of the ways is resonance of values, so shared values. Another way is resonance in terms of we're thinking similar things. So it kind of, I guess, resonates or lands between you and this person. That was sort of what I was picking up on. No, clarify if that's not exact.
No. Yeah, you are rephrasing it very correctly.
Okay. And also even worldview. So to me, that sounds like there's something that is shared, which creates a resonance between you and the other person. And it could be a variety of different things. And that also, I guess, generates sort of a connection. So if there's something shared and a resonance, then that creates value and meaning then in that relationship. Am I getting that right?
It's the question if it is enough to share anything to get to this resonance. I will need to sit with it for a while. Because I'm thinking, like just the banal situation. I can share a flat with someone and doesn't have any resonance with this person. And there won't be anything meaningful in our relationship, besides the fact that we're sharing some like material things. So I guess it should go beyond the matter, not in the sense what matters, but in the sense of the material things.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. Do you have something else you want to share,
No, I want to listen to you.
yeah, Julia.
So resonance is a super important concept, I think, when it comes to meaningful relationships. And for me, things that came up as we were playing came were there. For example, it's occupying some place in my being. So a relationship that has this place that makes me that has body. And I guess as far as exchange, that's definitely taking place. I see it maybe like a diffusion when there is certain parts of me um, and parts of the other person that have been exchanged. And at least for the time being, of meaningfulness of this relationship, this exchange stays even if we're far away from each other and maybe we don't maintain the connection anymore. And I don't know, lately, I guess I've been, I don't know, like sensing meaningful relationships. I mean, I know meaningful relationships that are meaningful by all standards, like my kids and husband, my family, right? Those people. But sometimes you meet a person and you just sense that there is something meaningful. And maybe it's because of that nonverbal exchange and diffusion that takes place that already you kind of give up a little bit of yourself and you accept a little bit of the other person. Yeah.
Ooh, can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
When you say diffusion, can you give me a little bit more context for what that means exactly?
I didn't even give it a lot of thought what it means. I guess diffusion is when one thing is no longer one thing, but it's kind of like the porous entities that we are. We allow for some penetration consciously, hopefully, right? So exchange.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like for you, meaning is derived. I just want to clarify. Derived when something has it almost sounds to me like enough of density that it creates, you said like it has a place in my body, but it also has a body. Is that how you described it? So it sounds like there's a density to it, to that exchange, and also there's a place that it resides in your field in some way. Yeah, did I get that right?
That's what I said. I was just saying what was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
that I can now like confirm and visualize everything and explain how it all plays out and where it's placed. But that was, yeah.
Go ahead, Ian.
May I clarify about exchange?
Mhm.
So, like, does this exchange necessarily entail some real world interaction, or it can be more like just the energy exchange at the more subtle level, and we even did speak and we don't know each other?
Well, I don't know about not knowing each other because I would probably have a hard time placing this the origins or tracing the origins of the heaviness and the occupation of my being.
Happiness and occupation. Oh my God. That just took me to a whole other context.
But it can be totally nonverbal. That part, it's so we don't have to touch each other. And, sometimes you just meet someone, you exchange a little bit of presence still. And then you're left with this sensation that this person is somehow meaningful to you. Um, you know,
I loved really this, how you phrased it, not just the idea, but how you phrased it, occupying some place in my being. And what it made me think of, the inspiration I sometimes get from some people. Not necessarily, I'm not speaking necessarily of particular persons, but just in general, I may get inspired by you two one day, and the other day I may get inspired by someone else. But it is true that it is like the imprint that this person leaves in me, and it certainly occupies some space in my being. So it's really a very beautiful concept, and the way how you phrased it. And the idea of exchange, because what came to my mind is it often happens to me with men, and my relationship in the area of love relationships, it's a complex matter. But so very often in my experience, what happens to me is that there may be no any significant exchange or sharing at the level of ideas or sharing values, or even some significant interaction with a person, but I still feel this exchange of energy. And of course, this exchange of energy is coming from this also energetic resonance that is emerging between our bodies and also our energetic beings. And it is true that this exchange makes my attachment to this person, even when from the point of view of the conventional world, it would be totally imaginary. But to me, it makes it meaningful because I really felt this exchange and this interconnection of the energies between our beings.
interplay.
Yeah.
I mean, what about you?
Thank you for asking. It's so funny because whenever I really tune into what both of you are saying, it literally in the moment shifts whatever I might have said in the past, because it's really resonating with what you're describing, and I'm feeling it, and it's what I end up in a totally different place than I might have beforehand. So it's really curious to me always. It's like a constant co-creation of whatever is here at the moment, even in things like meaning, right? I think for me, what resonates the most about what makes something meaningful is significance. like a relationship, not just something, a relationship meaningful in this specific season of my life, which is very specific. It's the ability to be real with the person. It's the safety that I feel to address things as they come up, not just share positives, but also share potential triggers or things that need to be clarified and verified and maybe need to be worked through. That willingness and openness of someone to engage, not just in what's easy and simple, but also in what makes us human all around, right? All of the sides of it. Someone that's willing to take the time and the energy that is required and the effort to engage in that way for the purpose of clarity and the ability to move forward and understand one another and learn one another. So it's really, there's a depth to the types of relationships that I feel are meaningful for me. So they definitely go beyond surface, and it's not necessarily about fun. It's also about shared interests, of course, and values, but not in the way that I would have defined it in the past, because I could still derive a lot of meaning in a significant connection with someone, even if they're very different from me, because of how they're willing to engage. Like, is there a lot of curiosity in the exchange? Is there openness, right? Is there like a willingness to learn about one another? Is there a welcoming? Like, in IFS, right? We welcome all the parts, and that's part of the process in internal family systems. I'm sorry. But I think this welcoming piece really is something that I'm starting to see in all kinds of different modalities in terms of like what we do, as coaches, as whatever it is that we do, but also in just regular life interactions. Is there a welcoming of someone that's angry, right? Is there a welcoming of someone that's upset? Are we willing to hold space for one another? Are we willing to ask, what do you need? Another human, like, what do you need in this moment? Those are the types of things that really create meaning for me, because they feel welcoming and generative and real.
I think not having to pretend is a very important check mark for me. And again, at this very specific season of my life, and I found myself lately to be so sensitive to people pretending, also people pretending that I've known for a long, long time, for many years. And then somehow it wasn't that triggering to me. And all of a sudden now I'm finding myself literally exploding and very aware of this wall between us. And actually, it's I think one of the reasons that it's come to my awareness so strongly is actually because of improv. Because one of the things that improv teaches is you have to act on top of your intelligence. You have to follow your curiosity always. And meaning on top of your intelligence, all those questions that people ask when they look at you, at this stage, this is improv stage, this is what you have to do to address those questions. It's like, when I'm saying, oh, wait, I just came from like whatever, like a a big party and here is your soup. You want to ask about the party, right? So, okay, what is the party? Or, but it's like, no, no, no. Let us focus on the soup. And this is, I think, it's somehow so pervasive that it's also really sad because we're missing so many cool topics for conversations where we could just be honest with each other.
I really felt that sadness energy come through at some point when you were describing what you were describing. And I also connect to the sadness of not having the type of meaning that I would like to have in relationships. It's really sad. And there is that wall that you're describing. That's something I also am so much more aware than I think maybe ever before. This wall that I just don't want to engage with, and I don't want to be looking through or over a wall at this person and have no access to them. But also, I wanted to ask you, I kind of got lost with your soup and party analogy. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Okay, no, the super party wasn't very clear, I realized. No, it's like, oh, I just killed someone, and here I made you some soup.
Oh, the
Really
redirect
often,
from.
what we are trained to do,
Mm.
completely disregard because, oh, you just killed someone. Oh my God. And the discomfort of even asking that question, and what would the other person answer, and how would they react to this, and is it even appropriate, and and then all we talk about is the soup when something so dramatic took place. I find it's like
Got
everywhere.
it. Got it. No, thank you for clarifying that. That's so true. It's funny how sometimes the meaning of things arise when we describe the lack of the thing that we want to experience. So like the opposite, right? Um, it clarifies things even more, which makes sense. What were we going to say, Ir?
I don't know what I was going to
Oh, I thought
say.
you were going to say something.
And no, well, like the things that were coming to me while I was listening to you both is that, like, this ability to be real with another person. Yes, I heard it many times how people value the possibility to be oneself with someone. And I think it's because we don't know, and of course I'm generalizing right now, but like we are talking about the like general pervasive issue, and I'm just giving my take on it. So like I think okay, let's put it this way, many people in the majority of situations have a big problem with being real with themselves, first of all. And that doesn't let people to listen to this resonance that may occur in the interaction or in the being, in the sharing the same space with another person. And hence any exchange of this like co-penetration, the interplay that could have happened, it doesn't happen just because we don't know how to engage with it. We don't know how to pay attention to it, how to notice it. So we can't let the other person to occupy some space in our being because we don't know how to occupy our being, first of all.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And I think, I liked, Paulina, how you described, like all the things that, all the factors you identify as significant for you. And what I was thinking while I was listening to you, because you were describing all the different things that allow for this exchange between the two or more people. So like this openness and curiosity and welcoming and no judging is what allows us to just to get into our being, to connect to this resonance, to open up the channels for the interaction. And by interaction, I mean this exchange at all the different levels. And obviously, the safer and the more real we can be in this exchange, the more open we can make these channels, and then the more depth we can go in this exchange.
Can I add something? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, as I was listening, I was actually thinking, wow, so many things, you need to be open, real, your place, aware, blah, 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 blah. Also, what was coming up in me was, but you cannot always do that because we humans cannot be all those things in all moments. And sometimes we're none of those things. And I'm speaking for myself here from my own experience. And even if I, with my brain, understand that, wow, this is such a good time now to be open and non-judgmental and real and receive, I was like, shit, but that is impossible for me at the moment. So I just wanted to put it in there that imperfection and the messing things up to me is also part of meaningful relationship. If that thing later gets some energy and attention and gets somehow processed between the two people, or maybe I don't know. I'm not sure if it can be done just single-handedly. I think it's relational, right? Relationships are relational. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yul, thanks for bringing the focus on this aspect, which I think Ira was doing as well, and so was I in my description. It's absolutely not something that could be done all the time in all the ways that we are describing. But the moments when that is not possible, if there is space and ability to engage and post-process, right, and clean things up, clarify, verify, get somewhere else, and there's the realness about the fact that right now I'm not able to. Sorry, I'm just really pissed off, and I just want to say, screw it to all of it, and like, so just to be real with yourself, which is what Ida was pointing to, like the ability to have the internal space in yourself, or the internal awareness, is not necessarily available at all times. But if there is a willingness and an openness to clear things up and clean things up, right, and find your way through the darkness with the other person, then I think that's what's really truly meaningful for me. And in the interconnectedness of it all, the relationships also help me, for example, to be able to engage with parts of me that I cannot engage with on my own necessarily, right? Just like what you were pointing to, Yul, which helps me to like understand how I render when it comes to other people, sort of. not just render physically, but also render energetically, emotionally. Like, if there weren't other people, what chance would there be for like a full aspect of understanding yourself? There would still be an aspect of understanding yourself and deriving meaning from like the physical reality, right? Which you're always talking about, and it's true. But this thing between humans, which is messy and difficult and sometimes fun and sometimes good, but like this whole spectrum of things becomes more accessible when we are allowed to fuck up, but also allowed to clean it up afterwards and learn and grow from it, right? So the welcoming of all of it, basically, is what's coming to mind for me.
Yeah. Well, something that I heard some time ago on a podcast about shamanism, and it was about humans and humans being who they are and interacting the way they are solely because they have created this the society, culture, and things like that. So they were saying that all the attributes of us as humans that we often attribute to ourselves personally, they're also meaningful, also only meaningful in far as it helps us navigate this human relationships in the context of culture and social structures and things like that. And, so that is just to say that exactly how would we know ourselves if there wasn't anyone else? Where would we be reflected, right? Where?
So what came to my mind, and actually I think it hasn't come up before in our conversation, but sometimes what may make the relationship meaningful is exactly these things that the other person reflect to me about myself that I haven't been able to see in myself without this reflection. And this may be very painful. It might be the relationship that doesn't have the welcoming, the curiosity, or at least it may be not mutual and the ability to be real. But this, like, conflict, as we would call it, might reveal to myself some things about me that would make the relationship valuable, even if it's painful and difficult.
Conflict, I think, is so super important. Like there is so much energy in conflict. There is so much tension. I mean, this is also, I would say, being meaningful is about some energy, some level of tension, something you can feel. And this is where, like, try to have a meaningful relationship with someone who always says, yes, yes, yes. It's like, what? We'll need to cut this out, but so yes to conflict in meaningful relationship.
Actually, what came to my mind is a relationship. It's a very meaningful relationship in my life with my best friend. And we have been friends since we were 3 years old. We have like the same age, like we have the 3 days of difference in our birthdays. And this is the person with whom I have had the most like co-penetrative resonance in my life. There was time then I was saying that like if she was a man, I would have married her. But then also there was a moment when I realized that we are so much alike, like so similar to each other, that very rarely there is any conflict. And sometimes it may be really boring, because in the end, like when you're like, what's the point of discussing anything when you know what the other person will say, because she will say the same thing that I think.
Oh man, I love that. It's funny because, yeah, go ahead, Yul.
Coming up for you, Polina, I was going to say.
Well, I was just thinking, like a meaningful relationship without conflict could not possibly be meaningful, because I am not someone at my like real spectrum of things in myself without conflict. Like, what would I be like if there wasn't ever even internal conflict? Like, so a relationship that never has conflict is almost like I don't even understand what that would what is that? Because
well, wait, but isn't it what we are aiming for? Like to transcend all our inner conflicts and to come into peace and full harmony between all our inner parts.
I don't think that's a great goal to have. I'm not sure that is attainable in this lifetime. I mean, just like from the perspective of all the different parts we have, and like the judgment, and actually how our brain is even wired, right? Like in our nervous system, it is wired to make assessments and make judgments in order to survive. So how would we transcend that wiring even? Forget about the fact that there's always a difference of opinion internally, because it's not even just about opinion. It's about a feeling, a sensation in that moment in time, with all these things that come together in the field and internally, and that's weird. Like, what would that even be like?
Yeah, that's true. But isn't it
like,
all the...
You have left this world as a body, and then you're in another world, and this is how you know. No conflict. Well, because conflict is also crucial to survival, also physical survival, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry, Ir.
Sorry, go ahead, Ir.
No, yes, I was saying like all these, looking for the positive function, like positive intention of each part, and that's the point of how we overcome, or this is what we're working on, like to overcome the inner judgment, and like recognizing the voice of the inner critic and recognizing its positive intention, so it can transcend this survival function of like assessing feeling, giving it the value of, okay, I assess it, but not from the judging position. So like we're still like, this is what we're looking for. So like from this perspective, at least from the intention of our work with the inner conflicts, I think there is some like at least subconscious assumption that the real us, the ideal version of us, is the version without inner conflict. Maybe it is true that when we get to that point, then we will just not be here anymore.
I'm not sure I agree with you, Ir. I would love for that to be the case. Literally would love it. But I don't think, for me, that is the goal. Actually, for me, the goal is to be more aware of all the aspects of me and make space for all of it, and of course help myself to regulate to a place where it's not as big of a trigger or big of a reaction or as long of a recovery as like it has been in the past. But I don't know that I would like try to get rid of parts or not make room for different parts that may have different qualities. I don't even know if that is what humanity is with a body or without a body, but that's like a whole other conversation.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not talking about the getting rid of, because like if we're getting rid of the other part of the relationship, there is no relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like when we are in the conflict, let's be honest, we all want this conflict to be over.
Well, but then when the conflict is over, then if another conflict doesn't come soon, then really like that energy that holds relationships together, I think it just dissipates. I think it's like every life, it's about pulsation, and every breath, it's you inhale, you exhale. So being in a state of harmony or non-conflict all the time, then how do we even get to a definition of harmony or, being united because there is no conflict? Yeah, I would not want for myself to have no conflict, also including in an internal conflict. I mean, not maybe so much as is usual for me, but some conflict, I think it's a sign that I'm alive.
Yeah, I think I'm also with Yulia on this one for now. In this specific conversation we're having in this season of my life, and also in this place where I am on my own journey, I'm not sure the goal is to never have conflict. And maybe I don't like that word very much, as usual. But I mean, the absence of something does often magnify its opposite. So I don't know, how could there be like a balance if there is no opposite? What would that even look like? I mean, maybe it would be really cool and great. I'm not sure that we're at a place where that's really possible in terms of where we are, as humans right now. But also I don't even understand what that would look like. So I'm not sure. What were you going to say, Yur?
I'm just thinking, and I'm just, like voicing out the ideas as they come. But there is this idea in the science of psychology, or I think that we tend to give a more value to the relationship with the person the more we invested in this relationship or in this person.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, like having gone through many conflicts together somehow increases this value. You're like, we have gone through so much, but at the same time, it create sort of like toxic codependency between each other, and like with the relationship with conflict itself. So it's like, let's have conflicts because the reconciliation afterwards is so nice.
That's not what I was talking about, for sure. That what you're describing definitely sounds toxic and not very juicy. I think that and I don't know, Yulia, maybe you could also weigh in on what you meant by it. But what I mean by conflict and that being like welcome in the field is not is so that when there are differences or there are misunderstandings, which are bound to happen in the way things are set up, there is the opportunity to get to a better clarity, to clean things up, and to there's a trajectory of growth and evolution in that relationship. Things are more clear, they are less triggering because there is an understanding and things have been cleaned up. So even if there is continuous conflict, and not that I'm not aiming for continuous conflict, but in moments of conflict, it's not the same type of conflict and it's not the same type of triggers, right? Because we have cleaned up, we have really understood each other, we've really met, we're constantly meeting one another at a place where more is possible. That's how I'm seeing it. I feel like it's a forward moving trajectory. What were you gonna say, Yul?
This brings me to something that Dan Siegel was talking about in relationships and how he differentiates between linking and like completely merging into each other. And I think when you were using conflict, this, let's say, in an unhealthy way that leads to toxic dependence and interdependence, it's like we're constantly penetrating each other, maybe violating each other, and there is like this ball that is created that is hard to take apart. And this is just a metaphor that comes for me. But then, when conflict is used to maintain this linking, right? We're together, but this is me and this is you. And right now, I want, I don't know, like a coffee, and you want a tea. And this is a very subtle conflict, but still it is, right? Because maybe the other person, because there's like, of course, in the mornings, what else would you have but coffee? Hey, sorry, but no, tea, please, for me. And this is the type of conflict that I think it's super important for maintaining linking with each other.
I like that you took it to such a simple example, and it's totally true. I mean, we're going to have different preferences. I think that's where the conflict really arises. People have different preferences, and how do we deal with those preferences? How do we compromise, but a compromise that's a win-win for both people, which requires real understanding and openness and acceptance. This is a quite complicated topic. By the way, I want to say that both of you have used the word penetration when it comes to this topic. And I'm just not in this episode, but maybe in future episode, I would like to put some attention on this because I wonder where this concept of penetration, when it comes to meaning, comes from. Is it because women associate so much meaning with sex, which includes penetration, or is it something else?
Does the word penetration always have to have a sexual meaning?
No, but it's quite often associated in that way.
Yeah, but this is not what I meant. I didn't think about sex
it wasn't
at
sexual.
all.
Well, but also penetration is quite aggressive in a way, almost. I don't know. There's what were you gonna say, Yul?
No penetration.
What were you
But it's like sex or is a relationship, right? Just a type. And because we're talking
Yeah.
about relationships, I think things are going to cross over. So because some concepts they're just better suited for explaining neighboring concepts.
Yeah, but like crossover versus penetration, there's a difference in the felt sense of those two different descriptions.
Yeah, but like as a porous being, when something comes through your membrane gets inside of you, the things penetrate you.
That's
not
true.
in a sexual way.
That's true. I guess you could even say water penetrates cells, right? When it enters and leaves the cell. Yeah, okay. This is a good segue. I feel like Julia already took us into a segue to my next question, which was when you drop into a relationship that feels deeply meaningful to you, what is the actual quality or the texture of that meaningfulness? What does it actually feel like in your body when you're with this person? Like it could be someone, you could maybe think about someone specific that you really have a lot of meaning with. What does it feel like in your body, this meaningfulness?
Maybe it feels like a penetration.
I've been penetrated.
Because this person occupies space in my being, of course.
How would you answer, Pauline?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a penetration, but there is for me, a sensation of witnessing, a sensation of maybe being held, or I am holding energetically with my attention. There's a sensation of approval, which to me, actually, approval does have an energetic quality to it. Feeling welcomed also has an energetic quality. It feels like a warmth. It feels like an allowing, like there's an allowing in the field and in my body. Also, I always notice there's a relaxation that happens inside of me when I'm, in a relationship that's meaningful and safe and welcoming, and it relaxes my whole system.
Two things came to me while I was thinking about it. One, I think, and these are like two different scenarios. I think like the one that comes to me is one there is this realization of the resonance and of some kind of the depth of this exchange at different level, which might not be, as I mentioned it in the beginning, to me, it might happen just once interaction, and then I never see this person in my life. But at this moment, something happened that leave me in the sense of awe and excitement, like, wow, how is it possible, this kind of connection, this kind of exchange? And it feels like expansion, like like wow. But then another scenario, like which we mentioned before, is like when the difficult relationships that reflect something important to me about me. So like the all the sensations that the relationship might produce might be rather heavy and unpleasant, because they're difficult relationships. But when I realize this reflection, what it actually means, the meaning of this relationship, what usually comes is gratitude. And I think gratitude, like if we're talking about sensations in the body, is also somehow associated with expansion for me. So basically I come to expansion.
So, Flo, It feels like, and it's also the marker for Yulia, right? The gratitude, right? That's your marker for flow, Yul. I think in one of the
Yeah,
previous episodes.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Like the moments of the realization of this connection, but of the meaning
Mm-hmm.
of the interaction,
Yeah.
it does have to do with what we discussed as life and flow. Because it gives me this realization that all of this had its meaning. It somehow has its place in my life.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
It all connects. It's like it's a puzzle that finds its place in the whole picture.
Now I'm thinking about really specific interactions when I find myself in spaces with people that I don't know. And I guess meaningfulness of a relationship or a specific person, to me, somehow this resonance is really flowy nature of this interaction, including the conversation. And it's just easy to talk and yeah. I'm having a hard time remembering an experience where that you're referring to where something really heavy was reflected to me with a meaningful relationship, but I'm sure it's yeah, I've had something like this. Yeah.
I really resonate with that description that you had, that difficult relationships can reflect something really important to me, about this relationship, like that aspect of it, that reflective point that is what a lot of times can create meaning if we're willing to be open to seeing it, placing it, figuring out how that puzzle fits, right? As you described. That really that makes sense. And also based on what you were describing, that's a question that's been in the back of my head a little bit. Is meaning always dependent on like a shared meaning, or is a lot I feel like a lot of interactions could be meaningful but not necessarily like a two-way meaning. It could just be meaningful to me because I am resonating, or I'm receiving, or I'm reflecting, or something is taking shape, or you know being born out of this experience, and I may be very grateful for the person that's helping to co-create that, whatever is needed for me to derive that meaning, but not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to do with them per se. So there's gratitude still, but it's actually still a very non-relation, it's more about the relationship that I have with me, which is where the meaning lies.
Yeah. Now it makes me think of a recent interaction that I had with someone with whom I was in the forest for 4 days as part of training. And the amount of um, it's like mm, this, like, oh my God, he annoys me so much. How I am disliking him. It was like so intense. And now, as you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, well, usually when we are triggered by someone, that's a sign that something there, right, that we know about us and maybe don't want to acknowledge, needs to be acknowledged. So now I was like, okay, well, does this mean I just had a meaningful relationship with him? Ah, maybe.
At least in this aspect, you've got that part that occupies the space in your being of this person that reflects something to you. There was an exchange, and it was important exchange.
Occupy is very appropriate.
I actually, so going back to that, this occupation, it also goes back to what you also said you earlier about like that the fact that there are some meaningful relationships in the way that like society defines meaning, right? So family members, parents, children. We almost don't maybe consciously really consider what is the meaning of this relationship outside of the established meaning because they are, you know, my parent or my kid or whatever. Um, but there is an occupation of that piece that happens in the system that's like literally residing there all the time, whether or not those relationships, in the way, for example, in this season of my life, I really truly define meaning, those relationships don't necessarily fit the bill. And yet they're still meaningful and they still occupy my space. So that's just another marker for how complicated this human experience is. And therefore, I'm not sure I would ever really be chasing this version of the experience where there's no conflict whatsoever and I have evolved past all the different flavors, you know? I just want to have a better relationship with all the different flavors, like a better time with them, for them to taste better, even if they are like, right, something sour, it can still taste so good. I love it. Yeah, just wanted to add that. That was coming up for me.
Yeah, a very, very good point, I think. Yeah. Occupation just because of the structure of life at different level, cultural, social, but maybe also, you know, other level because this is, you're talking about ancestors and things like that. Yeah.
What came to me just now, it was I have been thinking about it during several moments in our conversation when we were talking about the conflict thing, and just lately, you know, like you were discussing it also, Paulina, that you know, like it's actually in the end what it gives me, you know, like how I can grow in the relationship. And I was thinking that very often people say that, you know, like we value someone, the relationship with someone, for what we feel, like how we feel ourselves when we are with this person. But coming back to the question of group flow, and basically what we are, like when we're describing all this, you know, like openness and the exchange and the curiosity, so it's basically we're describing this, you know, like we want to have group flow with another person or with several group of people. So it's also about this, you know, like being able to transcend oneself, to feel oneself as a part of something bigger, be it a couple or a meaningful group of friends, or colleagues, you know, like not necessarily friends. So like meaningful relationship can be a working relationship. When we are working, you know, like co-creating in a project, it may be very meaningful. And it's, yeah, of course it is about what happens with each of us, but it's also about this, you know, like sensation that I'm a part of something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I belong to something that is bigger than me.
I love that you brought that in, because you're right. There's like a zooming out process when it comes to group flow, right? In order to maintain that group flow. But it's not like you're doing it on purpose. It's just like there's a zooming out. So that may actually take you a little bit further away from whatever parts personally might have a different voice in certain instances or situations, but because you're like expanded into the group field, right? Those voices are not as present, maybe. So you're able to kind of jive and flow with what is here now, and maybe have potentially even less conflict in those situations. I wonder if it's maybe group flow gets interrupted when our individual personal things get a little bit louder, and take us out of that co-creative flow in the moment.
Yeah, as they say, like for the group creativity to be successful, you need to leave your ego at the door.
Yeah.
I guess it's a balance between difference of opinion and allowing everyone to be heard. And it's the same for improv. But also, yes, like the main goal is what are you doing it for? Are you doing it to kind of like show yourself up, or you're doing it to support the common process? That is, at least in improv, is the difference that when you perform in a team.
Okay, I have another follow-up question. We've already touched on this, but I just want to make it a little bit more concrete if you don't mind. What kinds of relationships or moments challenge your sense of meaning the most? Do you have like a concrete sense of what kinds of relationships or moments really tend to challenge your sense of meaning the most? And how do you tend to meet that challenge inside yourself?
I'd say I'm thinking still about the example that I just shared with you about this 4 days in the forest, and that was when I was extremely challenged with being annoyed and very cranky. I guess, yeah, I did have it on the back of my mind to sort things out and to realize what kind of meaning I'm supposed to make out of it. And I guess extending that, for me, it's those relationships that highlight some things I would not rather see or look at, and then accepting the meaningfulness exactly for that.
Mm. I love that you're always bringing in like the physicality of the challenges, in all kinds of frames and perspectives. I always forget about the physical aspect of it, because to me, like, challenge right away means something more internal, more emotional, more, like on that level. And you're always reminding me, well, actually, there's the physical.
She is surviving in the forest.
I know, I know. Ira, how about you?
I was thinking about conflicts, but apart from this aspect, like what Yuna mentioned, what came to me is the inner conflict that and what I mean is I might be in the relationship that on paper fit all the criteria that we have described. So it must be meaningful, but somehow something inside me, there is this subtle voice that says that, that something is off. So like that conflict that arises within me, that makes me sooner or later to face, okay, what am I giving meaning to, and what is the real meaning here? Is it really that meaningful as I got used to think about it?
I love that. What am I giving meaning to? That's such a powerful question and reflection point. Could really shift things. Yeah.
What about you?
Thank you for asking. The kind of relationships or even moments in relationships that really challenge my sense of meaning, and this is really legitimately true at this moment in time in this season of my life, is when either, in terms of how society has set up these relationships, they're supposed to be meaningful, and yet there isn't any way for me to engage in those relationships where I feel like I am welcome as all of me, where we could actually have a conversation about things that come up, where the people that are in these, meaningful relationships are open to want to know and understand more, want to work through things, want to actually share like an honest depth, and where their triggers don't immediately take them out of any possibility for clarifying, verifying, growing together, cleaning things up. And that usually really challenges even my sense of meaning, because I guess growing up, I thought, oh, well, like, your parents or your siblings, those are the people that are really supposed to be the ones that know you and understand you and make room for you. And that is not the experience that I've had personally. So I'm right now, like, I'm really dancing with this, like, what does this mean? Not just like meaning itself within the relationships, but also what does this mean? And I think just in general, across the board, whenever there is an opportunity to go deeper or get to know one another or work through something, again, regardless of what the relationship is, and then that person chooses not to, that makes me lose a sense of meaning for that connection, because I don't know what to do with it at that point, because I'm just not willing at this season in my life to engage with surface level things, and pretend and spend time with people where I don't feel like it's a co-creative, generative, penetrative environment.
It is true that because it happens very often when the relationships that conventionally are supposed to be the most meaningful, in fact, are maybe the most superficial. I definitely, and I can say it safely, as I think none of my relatives will listen to this podcast, but the majority, you're like, I feel much more closeness and really the relationship with my friends rather than the many of my relatives.
Yes. And actually, if you don't mind, what I just tuned into as you were describing what you were describing was that sometimes there's actually meaning that goes way beyond any of the human constructs, because I was just tuning into, like, what was my felt sensation when I was around my grandpa, who was always very specific in what he wanted to pay attention to or what he wanted to talk about, and a lot of it was all in his world. He was like very creative and artistic, but it was all him and his world. It wasn't really a lot of, and what about you, or like what tell me about your life right now. It was a lot like, kind of single focused type of interactions, and yet it still felt like a meaningful relationship, but on some other level, like the energetic level, because I know him since I was a baby, right? Because we've shared this like space of family. Um, because my DNA speaks to his DNA, like it almost goes way beyond any of the constructs that I usually associate with meaning, like deep meaning in a relationship. So I don't want to lose that aspect. There is still something biological to these conventional relationships. Like it's biological. So there's
If they
something that
if they
resonates.
still occupy some place in
Yeah,
your being,
true, true.
Yeah,
I so love this phrase.
one
Yeah.
aspect that makes those relations challenging is um, a limit of autonomy of you of what you personally can choose to do with that relationship, right? Because on the one hand, yes, you can burn all the bridges and break all the ties, but then again, Pauline, as you said, there is still some things that sometimes kind of invisibly connect us, and certain places, I guess, in our bigger selves that is not constrained by the physical body, that are occupied by these people who hold something important. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, I love it. You just actually took it to another level because I was actually zooming into the biology of it all, and you were just like, no, but in the field, so outside of the body. That's so true. It also resides there. Yeah, it's a big topic. I feel like we could talk about it for a long, long, long time. I actually had another question, but we're out of time. So maybe for next time that we come back to or continue to exploring this what makes relationships meaningful, or what is meaning, how do we assign meaning to relationships? I'm rephrasing. So before we close, because we have to shift to closing. Before we do, can you both of you share what are you leaving with, what's still resonating for you around this topic, any thoughts, ideas for the future, anything?
Well, I'm definitely living with the occupying the place in my being.
Yeah, I love that
It's just I love it. And so I think it's the very beautiful criterion, the definition of what makes the relationship meaningful, but also I'm taking this, like, what the relationship allows for me and for my growth and for, like, for my learning and development,
one.
and also the possibility of group flow.
Mm,
How much there is the space for the group flow to emerge in this relationship?
yeah, love that. How about you, Yun?
For me, it was really cool to discuss the diversity of meaning, and it can be cool and exciting and pleasant, but it can be highly irritating, and it can be sometimes even like a little bit hostile, or we may not sometimes have a choice about who occupies our beings just because of the bigger structures. And all these are meaningful relationships, but at the end of the day, I think it's still up to us who gets a place in our
Mm,
beings and how much space. I wouldn't say it's like all the control that is in our hands, but of course, it's a process that needs to be constantly, I guess, renegotiated somehow.
mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I love that. The renegotiation, which also was in Ira's question, what am I assigning meaning to, and why, and how, and who am I assigning meaning to? So that there is this constant renegotiation. And the more I feel like we have these conversations, the more it helps to bring that awareness, that consciousness, and even opens up the space to renegotiate things that maybe have been put on autopilot. So I love that we get a chance to explore this together. And I just want to call out to the audience, whoever's listening to us, please share with us, what is your relationship with meaning? What makes relationships meaningful? How do you experience meaning in your body in a sensory way? Share with us what came up for you, because I really would love to hear all kinds of different perspectives. Every time I hear a new perspective, and I allow myself to engage and kind of be curious and open to it, it opens up, unlocks various aspects of me that I'm maybe not, engaging with on a daily basis. So it's always cool journey and cool experience. Thank you, ladies. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Thank you for this meaningful relationship.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for the meaningful relationship. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. How was it for you? We believe that the more people experience group flow together, the better off we all are. More connected, more creative, more alive. So let's expand the field.
If this episode resonated with you, help us spread the word. Share it with a friend, leave a comment, or give us a rating. We love you.
Do subscribe so you'll know when the next experiment comes out. You can also connect with us on our Life and Flow group Substack. We'd love to hear from you. Let's keep flowing together.